All right, so continuing on because whatever you start, you have to finish, and even it says that in the Bible. A little bit of wisdom. It says, you know, finish the work. For you know, it basically says it's saying whatever you think of, finish it. And so I'm gonna do that right here. So, but in the time yet unborn will I rise again, mighty and potent, requiring accounting of those left behind me. Then beware, O men of Chem, if you have falsely betrayed my teachings, for I shall cast ye down from your high estate into the darkness of the caves from whence ye came. Betray not my secrets to the men of the north or the men of the south, lest my curse fall upon ye. Remember and heed my words, for surely will I return again, and require of thee that which ye guard. Aye, even from beyond time and from beyond death will I return, rewarding or punishing as ye have required your trust. Great were my people in the ancient days, great beyond the conception of the little people now around me, knowing the wisdom of old, seeking far within the heart of infinity, knowledge that belonged to earth's youth. Wise were we with the wisdom of the children of light who dwelt among us. Strong were we with the power drawn from the eternal fire. And of all these, greatest among the children of men was my father Tomi, keeper of the great temple, link between the children of light who dwelt within the temple and the races of men who inhabited the 10 islands. Mouthpiece after the three of the dweller of Uno, speaking to the kings, with the voice that must be obeyed. Grew I there from a child into manhood, being taught by my father the elder mysteries, until in time there grew within the fire of wisdom, until it burst into a consuming flame. Not desired I but the attainment of wisdom, until on a great day the command came from the dweller of the temple that I be brought before him. Few there were among the children of men who had looked upon the mighty face and lived. For not as the sons of men are the children of light, when they are not incarnate in a physical body. Chosen was I from the sons of men, taught by the dweller so that his purposes might be fulfilled, purposes yet unborn in the womb of time. Long ages I dwelt in the temple, learning ever and ever yet more wisdom, until I too approached the light emitted from the great fire. Taught me he the path to Amenti, the underworld, where the great king sits upon his throne of might. Deep I bowed in the homage before the lords of life and the lords of death, receiving as my gift the key of life. Free was I from the halls of Amenti, bound not by death to the circle of life. Far to the stars I journeyed until space and time became as naught. Then, having drunk deep of the cup of wisdom, I looked into the hearts of men, and there I found greater mysteries, and was glad. For only in search for truth could my soul be stilled, and the flame within be quenched. Down through the ages I lived, seeing those around me taste of the cup of death, and return again in the light of life. Gradually from the kingdoms of Atlantis passed waves of consciousness that had been one with me, only to be replaced by a spawn of a lower star. In obedience to the law, the word of the Master grew into flower. Downward into darkness turned the thoughts of the Atlanteans, until at last in his wrath arose from his Agwanti the dweller, speaking the word, calling the power. Deep in earth's heart the sons of Amenti heard, and hearing directing the changing of the flower of fire that burns eternally, changing and shifting, using the logos, until that great fire changed its direction. Over the world then broke the great waters, drowning and sinking, changing earth's balance, until only the temple of light was left, standing on the great mountain, on Udal, still rising out of the water. Some there were who were living, saved from the rush of the fountains. Called to me then the voice of the Master, saying, Gather ye together my people, Take them by the arts ye have learned of far across the waters, until ye reach the land of the hairy barbarians, dwelling in the caves of the desert. Follow there the plan ye know of. Gathered I then my people, and entered into the great ship of the Master. Upward we rose into the morning. Dark beneath us lay the temple. Suddenly over it rose the waters, vanished from earth, until the time appointed was the great temple. Fast we fled toward the sun of the morning, until beneath us lay the children of Chem. Raging, they came with cudgels and spears, lifted in anger, seeking to slay and utterly destroy the sons of Atlantis. Then raised I my staff and directed a ray of vibration, striking them still, and their tracks as fragments of stone of the mountain. Then spoke I to them in words calm and peaceful, telling them of the might of Atlantis, saying we were children of the sun and its messengers. Cowed I them by my display of magic science, until at my feet they groveled when I released them. Long dwelt we in the land of Chem, long and yet long again, until obeying the commands of the Master, who, while sleeping, yet lives eternally, I sent from me the sons of Atlantis, sent them in many directions, that from the womb of time wisdom might rise again in her children. Long time dwell I in the land of Chem, doing great works by the wisdom within me. Upward grew into the light of knowledge the children of Chem, watered by rains of my wisdom. Blasted I then a path to Amenti, so that I might retain my powers, living from age to age a son of Atlantis, keeping the wisdom, preserving the records. Great grew the sons of Chem, conquering the people around them, growing solely and upward in soul force. Now for a time I go from among them into the dark halls of Amenti, deep in the halls of earth, before the lords of the powers, face to face once again with the dweller. Raised I high over the entrance, a doorway, a gateway leading down to Amenti. Few there would be with courage to dare it. Few pass. Oh, shit. Oh. A few there would be with courage to dare it. A few passed the portal to dark Amenti. Raised over the passage, I a mighty pyramid, using the power that overcomes earth force. Deep and yet deeper placed I a force house or chamber. From it I carved a circular passage, reaching almost to the great summit. There in the apex set I the crystal, sending the ray into the time-space, drawing the force from out of the ether, concentrating upon the gateway to Amenti. Other chambers I built and left vacant to all seeming, yet hidden within them are the keys to Amenti. He who in courage would dare the dark realms, let him be purified first by long fasting. Lie in the sarcophagus of the stone in my chamber, then reveal I to him the great mysteries. Soon shall he follow to where I shall meet him, even in darkness of earth shall I meet him. I, Thoth, Lord of wisdom, meet him and hold him and dwell with him always. Builded I the great pyramid, patterned after the pyramid of earth force, burning eternally, so that it too might remain through the ages. In it I built my knowledge of magic science, so that I might be here when again I return from Amenti. While I sleep in the halls of Amenti, my soul roaming free will incarnate, dwell among men in this form or another. Emissary on earth am I of the dweller, fulfilling his commands so many might be lifted. Now I return to the halls of Amenti, leaving behind me some of my wisdom. Preserve ye and keep ye the command of the dweller. Lift ever upwards your eyes toward the light. Surely in time ye are one with the Master. Surely by right ye are one with the Master. Surely by right ye are one with the All. Now I depart from me, know my commandments. Keep them and be them, and I will be with you, helping and guiding you into the light. Now before me opens the portal. Go I down into the darkness of night. And that was definitely the first Emerald Tablet, though, because, Thoth definitely was alive in the times of Atlantis, and he was obviously a priest, king, magician that had discovered the art of alchemy and practiced it, and he preserved it when Atlantis was sunk. And obviously, it goes through. When I first discovered the Emerald Tablets, I read them, and I definitely, they resonated with me, and I was just like, I must. I actually read one of the first excerpts I heard was in Greg Braden's Awakening to Zero Point. And when I first read one of the Emerald Tablet excerpts that he put in there, it resonated with me, and I found the Emerald Tablets, and there's 13 of them. And at first when I read them, it was in a time in my life where when you come across a document like this for the first time, it definitely is powerful, and it's an alchemical document, and it changes. It has the power to change consciousness, and that's pretty important because in this dimension, it has been made so when you come in here, you don't remember who you are. So you keep on dying and coming back in the reincarnation cycle, which is something that the dark force, known as the Archons, actually have had this planet in since the last fall of Atlantis. And obviously the Archons are definitely a real force that is, a little more than ISIS and stuff like that. So, but that's another subject and stuff. This is the, but it's the truth, and the truth has a lot of subjects that you can go into. So, obviously, the Emerald Tablets is this is an important document because it is the irrefutable proof of Atlantis. Thoth in the records, he definitely says that they came from Atlantis to when it sunk to Egypt, and when they reached Egypt, obviously they went there in a spaceship, a craft, because the people of Atlantis did reach a higher level of consciousness than we than currently have right now. Even though there are people, entities that are at that consciousness, it doesn't mean. But it just but it's been made so obviously the masses don't know about the truth. So but basically he says that in those tablets that once Atlantis sunk, and there's a whole history behind that, and obviously this is the true history of the world that's been hidden obviously by the Vatican and stuff like that, but pretty soon this is going to be released out for the world to know, because it is going to start the beginning of the golden age, thank God. But in the beginning of the tablets, it definitely says, that he has the wisdom of Atlantis, and there was some that were saved from the floods, and they went over to Egypt, where they called it the land of the hairy barbarians, but obviously they were humans that had not reached a higher level of consciousness yet. And they went there in a spaceship, and they landed, and basically the Egyptians attack them with spears, but they weren't the Egyptians yet. They were just hairy barbarians, and they attacked them with spears and what they had to attack them with, because they were obviously a threat. When you see spaceships coming and landing, either you're going to attack it, you're going to welcome it, or you're just going to, go with the flow. And they obviously attacked. And when they did that, the Atlanteans, who were obviously an advanced civilization, meant no harm to the ones that were obviously had not reached the heights that the Atlanteans had reached yet, and they basically showed them their power, and obviously magic science is the science of spirituality and actual science mixed together, which is obviously what they keep hidden from us now, but pretty soon it's going to be known that worldwide that this magic science exists. So basically, they landed and just shocked the shit out of them with their power, and then the Egyptians were like, "Okay, we're going to, we're going to listen to what you got to say." And then basically, the Atlanteans rose the Egyptians up to the heights that they attained by teaching them everything that the Egyptians are known for. In the mystery schools. They preserve the mystery schools because the mystery schools are actually preserved from Atlantis. And this is like all stuff that the Freemasons know, the secrets of the Freemasons and all that stuff. You could go into that, but that's another thing. If you want to know about truth, definitely that's getting into that. But they did rise the Egyptians up to the heights that they attained, and that's the mystery. It's like everybody wants to know where the pyramids came from, but it's from an advanced civilization that came from Atlantis. So that's not a mystery anymore. And once you really accept that Atlantis was real, then that changes your whole entire reality. So I'm definitely just starting to get out the truth of my awakening, and I definitely have a lot more to get out. So it's gonna get interesting.